For an issue that's been front and center this election, there's a lot of disagreement about whether the wage gap even exists.
Too many women still earn less than men on the job.
Does it exist?
It does, right?
If you become president, will a woman make the same as a man?
You're gonna make the same if you do as good a job.
I just don't know if it's real. Oh my God, are you Hope Solo?
Oh, what a save by Hope Solo, she kept it out.
Were you talking about the wage gap?
Yeah. Does it exist?
Boy, do I have some stories for you.
Hope Solo helped her team win the World Cup last year. She's also suing the Soccer Federation for wage discrimination because it chooses to pay its male players more money than its female players.
I was always the asshole. Sorry. I was always kind of the asking questions that nobody wanted the answers to, and just kind of stirring things up.
Do you feel like people thought you were an ass just for bringing up,
Absolutely.
equality?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you.
Yes.
And these were my own teammates. It was hope, just be happy, we're getting paid. This has just been instilled inside of my teammates and women for such a long time that I don't know how to break that thought process.
I mean, you guys so the men's soccer team is good. You guys are like really good. You brought in $20 million, dollars in revenue, but you're paid less than the men's team.
It's funny, when you look at the numbers alone, logically it makes sense. Pay the women not equal to the men, pay the women more, because they've brought in almost $21 million in revenue, whereas the men's team lost $2 million. So they didn't bring any revenue into the federation. Not to mention the fact that we had, more viewership. We broke records with
Most watched soccer
most
game
watched
ever.
game.
Yeah.
So we beat the men's record, which took place in 2014, and I'm sure it will continue to grow and will continue to compete. But the pay scale doesn't compete. It doesn't even compare. But I get comments all the time, like, just not believing that the pay gap is real, that women accept lower paying jobs, that it's our fault as a women's national team because we accepted a lesser contract.
So if women like Hope Solo are actually experiencing the wage gap, then why are journalists and academics denying that it exists? Well, they say it boils down to choice. Women often choose lower paying professions and work fewer hours. But Teresa Younger, the CEO of the Ms. Foundation, makes a crucial point.
That assumption that women aren't working as hard as the premise of the conversation is a farce.
Do you think that we value women's work less?
I believe we do. Where the fastest growing jobs in this country are around caregiving and around teaching, and we still have not made those professions really reflective of the important role they play in our society.
She's right. A good portion of the wage gap is explained by the fact that society has decided to value the jobs that women often work in less. And research supports this. For instance, as more women enter male-dominated fields, research shows that men's pay tends to go down. Jobs that were previously male-dominated, like being a ticket agent, as it became female-dominated, saw a decrease in pay of 43 percentage points. And even in female-dominated professions, the men in those jobs still make more than women. Male nurses make on average $5,100 more than their female counterparts. But men being advantaged in jobs that are female-dominated is so common that it's actually a phenomenon that's called the glass escalator. But the wage gap gets even wider when you add race.
Black women are making 60 cents to the dollar that a white male is making. Latina women are making, I believe it's 54 cents. And then if you break down the data even further, we have different communities in the South Asian community making like 34 cents.
But despite this, surveys show that most employees don't even think that the wage gap exists in their own workplace. And men are more likely to deny that it exists.
So we have to ask men, which we don't oftentimes do, how they believe the wage gap affects them. Do they understand what's going on, and do they understand what's being said when we talk about the wage gap?
It seems like this is an issue that doesn't just affect women, it affects men too. How do we get them involved then? Oh, hey, you guys are men, get in here.
Do you know her?
This is actor Matt McGorry and former NFL player Wade Davis. They both identify as men. Why don't more men care about the wage gap?
I don't think that they know it exists. I didn't know. I don't think that men oftentimes think about issues that impact women. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, I think they either don't know or they probably heard the term but don't really believe it. It's not that there are men who actively are like, oh, I hate women, let's not give them the whole dollar. It's not as simple as that.
Men don't think it impacts them. Also, that they don't realize that if they do have a wife and she brings in money as well, that it impacts their household income.
So maybe if we didn't spend so much time arguing over whether the wage gap exists, we'd have more time to actually fix it. And we'd all be better off. Thank you. Oh shit, do you have 22 cents? I only have 78. Thank you.